Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. Thank you for joining me today. Today is a check in for my community of group coaching clients and why this is applicable for not just my clients to listen to, but why it's great for you to listen to is if you are on your own health and weight loss journey, then some of the challenges, questions, and general bumps along the way to feeling your best self are going to resonate with you and are going to help you. So stay tuned in. I'm going to start by talking about some of my client wins, and then we'll go on to challenges and questions. I'm really excited to do this podcast today. I've been away on my own holiday for a couple of weeks, so this is my first podcast back. I might be a little bit rusty, so bear with me. Um, but yeah, let's get stuck in and let's talk about Sonia, who was also on a holiday recently. She's now been back a couple of weeks. And for Sonia, for her wins, she's really pleased with herself that since she's been back from her holiday, she's got straight back onto her usual routine and her way of eating. And the few kilos that she put on holiday, she has now lost. And what she is really pleased about is usually she would probably gain a little bit more on holiday and she wouldn't have lost it on her return. And you know what? This is how the weight creeps up, is that it accumulates over time. So Sonia has done a really great job of managing her usual routine, getting straight back onto it, not letting the increase in weight affect her mentally or emotionally. She knows what she has to do. She has my support. She has the support of the community, and she's done a great job of bringing back her weight back to where it was prior to our holiday. And getting back to your normal routine, whether it be from a holiday, whether it be from a weekend away, whether it be from a night out where you've indulged perhaps a little bit more than you would do usually, the key is always getting straight back onto it the following day and just resuming your normal way of eating. You don't have to pay back. You don't have to restrict. You don't have to do anything extreme. You just need to resume your normal routine. The other thing to bear in mind is that often weight that we gain on holiday, some of that might be a little bit of body fat. Some of it may also be additional water that you're retaining due to foods that you may not usually eat. Perhaps they're higher in carbohydrate or salt, and you have held on to a little bit more water. Also, if you've been on an aeroplane, that will help. That will usually lead to you retaining water. So don't be put off by it. Just get back to your normal routine. Now, talking of holidays and wanting to touch on this lightly, and I have done some separate podcasts on this. So if you haven't listened to them, please do go and take a listen. But when it comes to holidays, like I wouldn't expect any of my clients to go on a holiday and diet. Like, even though their goal might be weight loss, if you're on a holiday, it's important to enjoy the experience, especially if you've saved up all year and you've been waiting for this holiday all year. It's really important that you're fully present, that you're making memories, that you're enjoying yourself, that you're trying the food and the treats and the things that are on offer on your holiday, not feeling like you have to diet or restrict. And so it is really important. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm saying go all in, don't worry about your goals, do what you want. I'm not saying that at all, because I do like my clients to sort of implement what they've learned in coaching and do the things that make them feel good. And sometimes that might be enjoying an indulgent meal. And at other times, it's recognizing that they want to make that smarter choice because it makes them feel good. And this is how you find balance and moderation and an inclusive diet, by enjoying and eating all foods, no matter whether they're more healthier or less healthier, more nutritious or less nutritious. Everything has a place in the diet. And when you lift those perceptions of different foods being naughty or bad or that you shouldn't have, and then you feel guilty if you do. When you lift those restrictions and you change your perception and how you approach and how you feel after eating certain foods, it really will help you find that balance and moderation and be much less all or nothing. Because I want you to come back from your holiday feeling great, not coming back feeling like your clothes are tight, you feel not comfortable in your body, and it kind of potentially leads to you spiraling out of control because, just one thing leads to another. So having that moderate approach, and this is something I talk a lot and I help my clients with a lot through coaching. So if this is something you're struggling with, please do reach out, send me a message. All my contact details are in the show notes. Now, Julie has come back to coaching after a little break. It's great to have her back, and she's really pleased with herself that this past week she has set up her environment. Now, let me talk about what that means. Setting up your environment is basically setting up your home, particularly the kitchen, to support your food choices. If you don't have the food available in your house, how are you going to make those healthier food choices or be able to eat the foods that align with the weight loss goal that you have if you don't have anything available in the house? Because when there's nothing available, and you come in from a long day at work, or you've been busy, or you're hungry, and there's nothing there readily available, the high chances are you're going to grab something that's quick and easy, usually higher in calorie, lower in nutrients, and it's not really going to be conducive to your goal. So setting up your environment, making sure that your fridge, your freezer, and your cupboards contain plenty of food choices that support your goal. And when it comes to, obviously, your fridge is pretty straightforward. You want to have, normally your fresher foods are going to be in the fridge, but having those foods in the freezer can sometimes be lifesavers, like frozen veg. Frozen fruit is a great one as well, so that you can always make sure you're having your fruit and veg and hitting your fiber intake. The freezer really does serve you well. And also, if you're batch cooking, you can freeze half of the portion that you're making, or cook double and have a decent amount to freeze, and then it serves you on another day of the week. And this is you setting up your environment. Cupboards, think about tins, packets, dried food, and those types of food. So well done, Julie, in setting up your environment. She has also been active, in spite of her bad foot. She's got plantar fasciitis, but she is doing what she can to manage that, and she is still keeping active. And just remember to wear really supportive shoes, ideally with some arch support, and to continue doing those essential exercises to both strengthen and stretch the underside of your foot, which is what plantar fasciitis affects. It is the tendons on the underside of the foot. She has also spent time in the garden doing her gardening, which is really physical and often underestimated. I have so many, I'm not a gardening lover, so I can't include myself in this, but I have so many clients who say to me, oh my God, I'm aching so much. I only did a couple of hours gardening, but it can be really manual. And using and moving your body in different ways will affect you in different ways and stimulate different muscles. So well done in getting in the garden. She has also done some yoga practice, and I'm going to, yes, she has also done some yoga practice, which she has needed for her mental health and just to de-stress from a very busy working week. So a huge well done to you, Julie. Now, Stella is really pleased with herself. Now, she has been able to manage her weight, even though she has been extremely busy. She has also been unwell. And although she hasn't written this in her check-in form, I know, because she's my client, and I'm going to add it in here, her living circumstances have changed from where they once were. And even though with all these challenges, especially being ill and busy, she hasn't been tracking her calories as consistently. But what she has really gained and is very proud of, as you absolutely should be, Stella, is she is now naturally making more healthier choices. And this comes about from understanding and increasing knowledge from nutrition, from food values, understanding what foods you are eating, what food groups they belong to, how they serve you, how they make you feel, and how much and of which quantities of which food groups you need to be eating to support your health and your goal. And she is being able to do this. And this is now happening more intuitively, which is a really, really great measure of progress. And it is a great feeling when you reach this stage. And because Stella has spent quite a consistent amount of time tracking her calories, she has been able to learn about more food. And obviously, from the support in the group and from myself, she has now reached this place. Now, not all my clients track calories. Some of my clients do not track calories and they are losing weight. You don't need to track calories to lose weight. Before my Fitness Pal or NutriCheck became a thing, people still lost weight without tracking calories, and it is absolutely possible. And I use other methods with other clients who do not want to track calories. For some people, tracking calories is problematic. And I don't want anything that I do with my client to be problematic. And so there is always an alternative way that we can manage food intake. And also, those clients that are tracking, it is a great tool. It serves a purpose, but it is not a lifetime solution. I wouldn't want you to be here in 10 years' time still tracking calories. It's a great tool to revisit whenever you need to, or you need to bring yourself back in line. Perhaps you've drifted a bit. But generally speaking, it is not a lifetime solution. Now, the other challenges that Stella has had is a lot of the meals that she is now eating are not prepared by her. So it does become harder to track. And in these circumstances, is you can only track the best you can. And, if you're not going to necessarily know what the ingredients are that someone cooks. And this is the same if you're going out for a meal in a restaurant or you're having a takeaway. You're not going to be sure exactly what the calories are. And so there is inaccuracies when you track anyway. Even with the best will in the world, there is always inconsistencies tracking. And the only thing you can do is just track the best you can. And also, for example, if you're made, a chicken korma and rice, this is a really random example, you can also look up a supermarket single serving alternative and track that. And, sometimes overestimating is a good idea when it comes, if you're unsure and you just want to make sure that you're staying within your calorie deficit. That being said, the odd meal that you don't track is fine. It's not going to ruin your progress. Obviously, there are tools that you can also implement without tracking. And that is and even if you are tracking, and that is to eat in a mindful state, which basically means that you're not on your phone scrolling, you're not watching the television, you're not at your desk at work, working on your computer and trying to eat, because you are being distracted. And when you're distracted, you will probably find that you eat quicker. You won't enjoy your food as much. You don't gain as much pleasure. You don't notice the taste, the flavors, the textures of the food that you're eating. And you finish the food on your plate and you don't even remember eating it. And you don't reach that level of fullness. And then it can often lead to you going to reach for more, and then you eat more, and then your hunger hormone that signals fullness finally sends the message, but at that point you're now over full. So eating in a mindful state without distraction is one to definitely implement. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm always on my phone when I eat, especially lunchtime when I'm on my own, or breakfast, or whatever the meal is, really do challenge yourself to eat without any distraction. and see how much more you'll enjoy your food and be satisfied with the portion that you have. Now, the other thing that you can do and the other techniques is to notice your fullness when you're eating in a mindful state. Notice when you're reaching what I call the 80% full. If your goal is weight loss, 80% full means you're eating to mild fullness. You're satisfied. You're satiated, should I say. Could you eat a little bit more? Yes, you could. But if you leave that little bit wanting at the end of your meal, that is signaling you being in a deficit. And you don't need to track calories to be able to implement the 80% rule. And you can do that anywhere, no matter what the food is or who cooked it. The other good idea, and this is something that Stella is doing, she is still weighing some of her food. And usually the food groups that are good to weigh are your carbs and fats, because they are the ones that we can really easily overeat on without realizing. And, like a slice of cheese, is that a thin slice, a thick slice? Sometimes when we eyeball, portion sizes increase, not intentionally, but they increase. And so weighing and getting an idea of your portion size is a really good idea, because, you might think you're having 100 calories of cheese and actually it's 200. And if you do that every day, again, you're going to be coming out of that deficit, which you need in order to lose weight. And a calorie deficit is where you're eating less calories than your body requires. And that is how you lose body fat. A really other great win is that even though Stella hasn't been like 100% on it, she has not reverted back to her old habits. Now, I really want to caveat here. I don't expect my clients to be 100%. I don't expect them to do things perfectly. I don't expect myself to be perfect or to operate at 100%, because the problem with being 100% or perfect is if you can't be 100% or you can't be perfect, then the alternative is that you don't do anything at all, or you perceive you failed, and so you throw the towel in and then go to the all mentality. Where what Stella has done really well is she recognizes she hasn't been 100% on it, but she's done the best she can, and she's implemented what she's learned in coaching, and she's maintained her weight, and that's a huge win. Now, a couple of challenges that, again, you may be able to resonate with is if you're weighing yourself and you see scale weight fluctuations, how do they affect you? How do you respond? Because I have a client who's brought up in her check-in that she is reacting negatively to her scale weight fluctuations. Now, she knows why these scale weight fluctuations happen, and scale weight fluctuations can happen for a multitude of reasons. And the reasons why your scale weight fluctuate are not even important enough to talk about on this podcast. I have done a whole separate podcast episode on this. And it's not that I don't want to talk about it, because I'm happy to talk about it. But why your scale weight fluctuates isn't, yes, it fluctuates. You're a human being and you have hormones, you have a life, you have pressures, and they happen for many reasons. And accepting those scale weight fluctuations, even when you've done everything that you're supposed to do to support your weight loss goal, your body weight can still fluctuate. And there is the key in the wording that I've used there, your body weight. When you go onto the scales, you are measuring your total body weight. That means your muscle, your body fat, your bones, your vital organs, and all the other things that is included in your total body weight. So it doesn't necessarily always, in the short term, measure body fat loss or gain. But what we do is we use scale weight over time and we see how it trends. If it's trending downwards, even though it's fluctuating, you're making progress because it's trending downwards. If your scale weight's trending upwards over time, you're not in a deficit. And the chances are you're eating more than your body requires and you're gaining body fat. Now, alongside scale weight, my clients use progress photos because that visual representation is so helpful, and often seeing the visual changes reinforces that the scales don't always accurately measure body fat loss in the short term. And we use measurements. Now, if you're only weighing yourself once a week, I would advise that you weigh yourself a lot more frequently than that, minimum 4 times a week, because your scale weight fluctuates. And what if that one time a week you weigh yourself and your scales have fluctuated up? You're going to just think what you're doing is not working, instead of understanding and seeing and noticing, especially at different times of the month, how your body responds. And obviously, as women, hormonal fluctuations will usually increase your scale weight for the short term. Now, it's important to not react. Now, it's very easy for me to say that because I understand and appreciate that it's usual for a lot of emotions to be tied up into what we weigh. And in this client's specific case, I would recommend that you remove scale weight for the time being. And we can talk about that in the community chat. But I would recommend that you remove scale weight. It is negatively affecting you. And for the moment, we don't need that scale weight measurement. What I would, and if you're listening and you can resonate with this, take out the scale weight. Get your head down and focus on your actions. What are your actions, you ask? Your actions are all the things that you need to be doing to support your weight loss. Are you going out for a walk every day? And are you hitting your step target? Now, if you don't have a step target, look at what your steps average. If you have an activity watch, you will know that data. What do your steps average? If you add up all your steps over a week and divided it by 7, what would be your daily average steps? Wherever that is, increase it by 2,000. If you're already hitting 10 to 12,000, you don't need to increase it. You're in a range that is suitable. But if your steps are currently at 4,000, 5,000, try and increase them and get your steps up. That will support your mental well-being as well as your expenditure, as well as your mood, and it will help make you feel good. And then you'll more likely do the other actions. The other actions are preparing meals that are high in protein, whether that be animal-based, plant-based, obviously it's your personal preference. You are adding a shit ton of veg, salad, or fruit to your meals because then you are getting more fiber, more fullness, as protein will also do, is keep you fuller for longer. And then obviously add in some carbs and a small amount of fats. Exercising, obviously, I always recommend strength training. Yes, you can do cardiovascular exercise as well, but strength training is imperative and is the priority above all other exercise, in my humble opinion. And that's not to say not to do cardio, but often with too much cardio, it can increase your hunger, making it then harder to stick to your diet, and then you're not going to lose the weight that you want. Strength training and increasing your muscle uses and expends more calories doing nothing. So building more muscle burns more calories, and strength training benefits your long-term health, and it's what you need to help you look more toned. Running is not going to help you look more toned, and I love running. I'm not against running. I led running sessions for 14 years and I still run, but I don't run to tone up. I run because I enjoy it and because it benefits my heart health. So, exercising. Now, also for this client, remember you have habit based targets. Tick them off every day, get consistent with them. And if you're not one of my clients and you're thinking, what the hell's a habit based target? Habit based targets are things that we do in daily life to support our goal. And my clients have individual habit based targets to help them in their personal goals. And so remember to box these off and get consistent with them. Now, I want to talk about sleep because a couple of my clients have talked about being really super busy at work, and they're feeling exhausted. And we all go through periods of time like this. Just sometimes life is just exhausting, even if it's not from work. But for these particular clients, work has been really, really busy. And I want to just talk about sleep and the importance of getting adequate and good quality sleep. Now, I know if you're going through menopause, if you're at that stage of your life, your sleep may be impacted, and it's really difficult to support good quality sleep. But to the very best of your ability, there are some things that you can implement, and maybe you're not already doing them. So it's a really good idea to listen and get an idea. Now, even just one night of poor quality sleep can reduce your mood, can drastically reduce your energy and your desire to do anything other than just sit around. You'll fidget less, you'll move less, you'll want to do less, even though you have to drag yourself to do your work, take the kids to school, whatever it is that you have to do. It will be done with very low energy and you won't feel very good about yourself um, or your mood. The other thing that happens with reduced or poor quality sleep is that your hunger hormones go skewed. That means that you'll probably experience a higher drive to eat because your body's telling you that you feel low energy. So it's signaling for you to eat to increase your energy. So you'll probably eat more, which is not conducive to your weight loss goal. And the other hunger hormone that's skewed is your leptin, which is the hormone that signals that you're full, and that won't signal when you're at fullness. So the chances are you're going to eat more. And that's not conducive to your goal and it's not going to make you feel good. So, supporting good quality sleep is going to be really important. Now, creating a bedtime routine, and you might think, oh my God, I'm not a child. It doesn't matter. Having a bedtime routine will help your circadian rhythm, will help you get into a routine. And I give you an example of this. I went on holiday, like I said, and my body clock, I have such a strict bedtime routine that my body clock on holiday, I'm still feeling tired at the same times, even though I obviously stayed up a bit later. But I was awake the same time in the mornings as I was at home. And if you've been following me on my social media, you will see that I was up before anybody in my family, and I would do my morning walk at that time and have time to myself. So creating that bedtime routine is really key. And the way that you would create that bedtime routine is no different to what you might do if you've got kids, is set yourself a bedtime. And if you want to be in bed, say by 11 o'clock, if you're anything like me, you need to start the process by a good half an hour beforehand. It takes me half an hour to get up the stairs and into bed. I might, put the laundry on. I might I hang the laundry out. I might wash up a few dishes in the sink. I might faff about doing whatever it is that I do. I sometimes journal. I sometimes plan my day ahead, and I do that last thing before I go to bed. Probably not ideal, but I do that in the half an hour before I aim to be in bed, say by 11 o'clock. And your bedtime might be different. You might need to be in bed earlier than that, depending on your job and your routine and what time you need to be up in the morning. I actually try to get up a lot, go to bed. That 11 o'clock was just an example. I normally try to go up by about 10ish because I need my sleep. Now, the other thing, when you've got that half an hour, at least half an hour before bed, is that you remove your phone, you stop scrolling because it is stimulating and you're not being able to wind down. So come off your phone, wind down, get yourself into bed. Have your curtains drawn before you go upstairs, the windows open, keep it airy, and when you walk into that bedroom you feel in a relaxed state. Do some deep breathing, maybe listen to a guided meditation. They're free on Spotify. Set a timer, get yourself into bed, and have a same wake time during the week. It might be a little bit later at the weekend, but generally it's around roughly the same time. And this is you creating a bedtime routine. If you find that you're on your phone in bed right up to the moment you lie down and turn your lights off, you are in a stimulated state and it's not supporting good quality sleep. So think about how you're getting yourself into bed and that you're trying to support good quality sleep. Now, this client has already noticed and has said in her check-in form that she has got into a bad habit of staying up late, falling asleep on the sofa, and then going up to bed. And it's not a great way to set yourself up for a good night's sleep. So take on board my feedback. Also, if you're very busy and you're working, make sure that you do take time to have some rest. Rest can look different at different times for different people. Sometimes rest can be more active and it can be that walk outside. It could be reading a book. It could be whatever you feel you need, but don't ever feel guilty for taking rest. Sometimes you may feel that rest is more important than getting yourself to do a workout, and that's fine. You have to make that decision depending on how you feel. Um, Now, one of my clients has, and you may be able to resonate with this, if you've had a change in your routine or you've changed your jobs and you've now got a new routine, the routine you had before that you were happily doing has now changed and it's affected you doing all the things that you were usually doing. I want to just say that you need to give yourself time to get back into the routine when you start a new job. This particular client has changed her role within the job that she had. She is no longer desk based. She is now on her feet. She is a postie. She is accumulating around 20,000 steps a day, which is probably around double what she was doing previously. She's noticed that she's feeling more tired, more exhausted at the end of the day, and hungrier. Now, her goal is weight loss. So we obviously need to manage her hunger. And what I would say to this client is I have looked at the data on our coaching app. Protein is looking a little bit low. So make sure that you are eating a high protein meals and you're eating them regularly throughout the day. And you're trying to not leave too long a periods without eating. Making sure that you're eating plenty of veg and fruit. Your calories are fine, they don't need changing, but how you're spending those calories is what you need to really look at and prioritizing good quality, whole food that are going to keep you fuller for longer. Um, Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, my final point that I want to talk about that one of my clients has raised is about emotional eating. Many of us struggle with emotional eating. And what my client has written is sometimes other people's actions lead me to then emotionally eat. Do I know any techniques to help with this? So, first of all, I don't like to stick a plaster on things and just like, oh, muller, like sort of brush past comments that clients make, because it's really important to understand your behaviors and why you do the things you do or why you feel the way that you do. Now, in response to this client, and if you emotionally eat and you find yourself, you seek comfort in food, is first of all, you need to think about, are you physically hungry or are you definitely emotionally hungry? If you're physically hungry, you'll tend to have a good quality nutritious meal. If you're emotionally hungry, it's usually that you're craving something. You tend to probably reach for more higher calorie foods. If you're emotionally eating, it's really good idea to find out what it is that you're feeling, what your emotion is, and to name it. So if you're feeling pissed off or angry at your friend who made a comment, or just anxious or annoyed or angry, whatever the feeling that you're feeling, name it. And you can even say it out loud. Say it. And then ask yourself, what do I need to help me feel less? And then insert the feeling that you're feeling. If you don't name your feeling and identify what it is that you're feeling, you're skirting the issue, because sometimes food is a comfort, there's no doubt about it. But what you don't want is that food is your only source of comfort. And if you're feeling angry, is eating for example, chocolate bar going to help you feel less angry? It might do in the moment, but once you've eaten it, it's probably not going to help. It's not going to have made you feel any less angry. And in fact, it's probably going to make you feel worse, because then you've eaten a chocolate bar, which isn't in line with your goals. You know, you didn't have the calories for it, or you'd already eaten one, and then you're going to feel even worse. So name your feelings. That's what I would advise first of all. Say it out loud and ask yourself, what do I need to feel less, whatever the feeling is? And then find out what it is that you need. If you feel angry, would it help calling a friend? Would it help removing yourself from the environment? Would it help going upstairs? Would it help getting yourself to bed? Many of us emotionally eat right before bedtime, probably through boredom. Would it help going up to bed? What is it that you need that will help you feel less, whatever that feeling is? Start writing yourself out a self-soothe list of all the things that you can do: going out for a walk, going for a bath, reading a book, phoning a friend, coloring, whatever it is that you need. Going and lying down. You don't have to go to a yoga class to de-stress. 10 minutes. Moving your body, lying down, taking some deep breaths even will help you, depending what you want to do that will help soothe you. The other thing is to surf the urge. Surfing the urge is where you sit with the discomfort of wanting something but not acting upon it, and asking yourself, can I wait 15 minutes? And if I still want it after 15 minutes, then I'm going to allow myself to have it. Now, what often happens when these feelings and urges hit us, they hit us like a tidal wave. But actually, if you sit it out, they pass by, and the feeling and the craving and the desire really rapidly reduces. So waiting can often really be a good solution. It takes practice and it takes time. And for this client, I would recommend that you re-listen to the education series that I've recorded for you guys, all about emotional eating with strategies and techniques to help. Final question is best on the go protein snacks. Now, first of all, there is no best. The best is the one that you enjoy, that is high protein. And I know for this client, she does need a snack that is on the go due to her job. But I would generally never recommend that you eat on the go, because, as I've mentioned previously in this podcast, eating on the go is not you eating in a mindful state. You're going to eat quicker. You're not going to enjoy it. It's all very quick, and it's not very satisfying. But if that's your only option, and you don't want to leave long periods of time, because that's not ideal either, and that often can lead to overeating because you're so hungry when you finally do get to eat. So high protein snacks, squeezy high protein yogurts, you can buy them in Aldi. Most of the supermarkets do them. Fruit like a banana and an apple that don't need peeling. I know you peel a banana, but it's not sticky. Or whatever fruit that you like, or fruit pots, or just anything that's easy to eat on the go. You could eat a protein bar, but you don't want to eat a protein bar every day, and they're very costly. But Baby Bell Lights, perhaps making yourself a high protein sandwich is a really good idea. There is nothing wrong with a sandwich. You could buy already cooked meat slices, ham, chicken, whatever you like, and stick a good 100 grams inside 2 slices of bread. And if your sandwich doesn't go too soggy, put in a bit of salad in there as well, or some carrot sticks just to eat on the go, or wherever you can eat them. And a sandwich is a really good snack, and it's going to be much more filling than those picky bits that don't necessarily fill you up. So I hope that's helped. Thank you for listening. And well done to my clients. Now, if you're listening to this and you've reached the end with me, it's a long one today, and you're interested in joining my next group coaching, it starts on the 1st of August. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, why would I start in the summer holidays? It's the best time to start, because you can still go through the summer holidays and improve your health and start to build those habits to support your health and your weight loss goals. It's not about being perfect. It's about managing your health, coming away from the all or nothing mentality and getting to the end of summer or returning from a summer holiday feeling great. So get in touch, reach out to me, ask me questions, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next one.